It's Been So Long, an Adrienette fanfic, Part 7. A month and a half had flown by, and Marinette was so nervous for the competition. The only good thing was that she and Adrien had gotten in tons of practice and worked very well together. Adrien was very adamant on having as many practices as possible, even though that seemed excessive. It did help them become great partners. With one slight waver of Marinette's hand, Adrien knew exactly when to end a fermata, or when Adrien tapped his fingers on the key for even a split second before playing, Marinette knew the tempo. She knew that their hard work would pay off when the duo performed a song for their friends. It was not the one they had chosen for the contest, but it did show that they worked amazingly together.
"How ready are you?" Adrien asked, as Marinette and him FaceTimed.
"The contest is tomorrow. What do you think?" She laughed.
"We're going to do great, thanks to your angelic voice," Adrien comforted her.
Adrien was such a fluffy and kind kitten, always giving compliments and making sure that she wasn't scared or nervous. Marinette had noticed that Adrien had started trying to hang out with her more than he used to. It was probably just because she had stopped stuttering and screaming whenever he came around, and now he saw that she was a fun person to hang out with, not just a crazy girl blabbering. She was glad that even though she was now over him and had taken a step back and had seen through his quote-unquote perfection she had been blinded by before, he was just as kind of a person as she had believed so before. He was still genuine and caring, so Marinette was glad that Adrien was her first love. "I'm so excited for your guys' performance," Alia said as she saw Marinette and Adrien walk up to her and Nino at school.
"Yeah, dudes, it's gonna be great!" Nino smiled as he gave Adrien a dap and a hug.
"We've worked so hard. I really hope we do well," Marinette smiled. Adrien slung his arm over her shoulder and looked at her with a wide grin.
"We'll do amazing," he reassured her.
Marinette looked up at Adrien and nodded her head, her eyes squinting as she smiled. "I'm scared," Marinette said as she got ready backstage. She wrapped another strand of her hair around the curling iron.
"You're gonna do great. Stop worrying." Alia rolled her eyes and placed her hands on her best friend's shoulders.
I know, but I'm still..." Marinette set the iron down on the makeup table and turned around to face the naturally curly-headed hair girl. She looked at her friend with worried eyes.
"Breathe with me," Alia said.
Marinette nodded her head.
"Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3.
Marinette inhaled and exhaled. She felt much calmer after doing the exercises.
"Better?" Alia asked.
"Very much so," the blue-eyed girl replied with a smile. "People in the music business like to say that the first slot is the death slot. Unfortunately for Marinette, the last slot seemed much more terrifying. And lo and behold, she and Adrien were the closing act. Marinette looked at herself one last time in the mirror. Her black curled hair was flowing down and around her upper torso. She wore a pink off-the-shoulder dress that was above knee length and a sweetheart neckline. Its fabric had enough body to flare out, but was still soft and flowy, and it was, of course, one of her most proudest designs. Her makeup was light and golden. Marinette swiped on a final coat of her nude pink lip gloss and took another deep breath.
"You look great."
Marinette turned to see Adrien in his all-black tuxedo walking towards the chair she was sitting in. She smiled. "Thank you. You look rather dashing as well," she complimented back. Adrien gave her a pointed look to tell him how she was feeling. "I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm crazy nervous. This is scary. How do you do this? Like, how the heck do you performers do this all the time without freaking out every time? Oh my god, like, there's so many people out there. What if I make a mistake? Oh dear lord, I'm freaking out. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What if I mess up? Like, mess up really, really badly and they can tell? What if they throw fruits at me? Oh my god, I don't want someone to throw a tomato at me. Oh my god. Oh no. What if they throw eggs? What am I gonna do? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." Marinette rambled.
"Marinette,"
Adrien said with slight laughter in his voice. He shook his head slightly and had a smile on his face. Marinette had a bright pink flush on it. She couldn't help but blabber on and on about how scared she was. Marinette was truly scared. Adrien had performed many times before this, so he was very calm, but this was the first time Marinette had sang in front of a large group, and she honestly had no idea how to deal with the nerves. People aren't going to throw anything at you. Even if you mess up, which you won't, they won't notice. It's okay to be nervous, but don't let it get the best of you. Adrien comforted her. Marinette smiled and nodded her head. She stood up and smoothed down the fabric of her dress and looked at the clock. Time to go? She asked. Adrien nodded his head and held out his arm. For you, fair lady, he said jokingly. Marinette laughed and placed her hand on top of his. She couldn't help but think of her silly crime-fighting partner, how he always called her "m'lady." The thought of the black cat made Marinette smile even more. Oh, I wish he could watch me today. Marinette, being as confident and out there as Ladybug. And for our final performance, Marinette singing Shallow with Adrien on piano accompaniment, the announcer said as the audience clapped and cheered. Marinette took the microphone in her hands and saw the middle row. Her best friend Alia clapping and cheering for her. The knowledge of Alia always being there for her and cheering her on made her heart warm and her nerves to calm down slightly. Next to Alia sat Luca, who gave her a smile and nodded his head, showing his support too. As Adrien began to play the pickup lines of the song, Marinette took a deep breath and began to sing. We're far from the shallow, sang Marinette. The audience exploded in cheers and claps. The people were standing and moving. Marinette began to breathe heavily and smiled widely. She winked at her friends who cheered in response. Adrien got off the piano and came up next to her and grabbed her hand. Bow, he said, and the pair took a bow. Marinette darted her eyes around, watching everyone smile. She was beyond happy. This day was amazing. Nothing could make it better. Oh, but it did get better. Because Marinette, who had her eyes going every which way except for the center aisle. The crowd let out an audible gasp before quieting down. Only then did Marinette notice the figure coming down the aisle holding a bouquet of flowers and wearing the brightest smile she had ever seen. She dropped Adrien's hands and they flew up to her mouth as she gasped. Oh my! Her eyes began to water and her smile somehow got even bigger. Aiden! Marinette practically jumped off the stage and raced to her long-distance boyfriend as he wrapped her into a hug. His arms fully enclosed her in a warm embrace. The crowd awed at the couple and Alia shouted a "Yeah! Get it!" It was heard above all else. I guess that's Alia. Aiden laughed. Yep, Marinette giggled. She looked up at his face and smiled. Aiden was just too cute. Marinette could practically melt after seeing him, which she did do once. But that's one secret that she and Aiden would not tell anyone because it was way too embarrassing. You did so good, Aiden whispered. His low voice sent chills up her spine and Marinette's cheeks flushed. Thank you, she said. Ahem! Alia cleared her throat loudly. It was clear that she was trying to send Marinette a message. Marinette and Aiden broke apart from their hug and cheeks red but hands intertwined. Her friends, minus Nino, Alia, and Aiden, and Adrien, all had their arms crossed and were glaring at her, waiting for an explanation. Care to tell us who this is? Milan raised a brow. Oh, yeah. This guy's is... well, Marinette stammered. I'm dating her. Aiden cut in. You're Aiden? Rose squealed. We've heard a lot about you. We just had no idea what you looked like. Well, other than a really attractive model, that is, Julica said. Marinette covered her face. She did constantly tell her friends how adorable and handsome her boyfriend was. She just didn't expect him to find out. I'm glad you heard about me, Aiden smiled. Luca, the blue-tipped haired boy stepped out and put a hand out. He smiled as Aiden shook his hand, a sign of a truce. Nice to meet you, Aiden said with a joyful voice. Marinette let out a silent sigh of relief as her friends chatted with Aiden. She had been slightly worried that they wouldn't get along, but after the first 10 minutes, the worry had gone away. All of her friends seemed to instantly click with him and really liked Aiden. The only one that seemed slightly distant was Adrien. He was very nice to Aiden, but something was off. The group decided to go out for ice cream, and just as luck would have it, Andre's Sweetheart Ice Cream was right outside the place where the competition was held. The group all walked out to get the famous ice cream. Pistachio ice cream, Alia said as she looked at her 3 scoops. Green, orange, and blue were the colors of her ice cream, which perfectly matched Nina's shirt and headphones, and the green was the main color of Carapace. Nino himself had orange, black, and red. Well, who is this new sir? Andre asked as Marinette and Aiden stepped up. This is Aiden, Marinette said as she grasped onto his arm. Well then, mint green for his eyes and vanilla for his hair, and of course black for the clothing that he wears. Marinette took the cone and smiled widely. Green eyes? Aiden had green eyes. Check. Blonde hair? Aiden sure had blonde hair. It was so light it was almost white. Check. Black clothing? Well, he always wore a black shirt, so check. And you! Mint chocolate chip for the specks on her cheeks, and strawberry pink for wits the mouth that she speaks. Aiden smiled widely. This is so cool. I hear the ice cream is magic. Andre smiled upon hearing the foreigner's joy. Son, this is the way of life. Think all is magic and it will be special, Andre announced. Pink lemonade for the bag she carries around, and red candy apple for that's how she's found. Adrien took the ice cream with a polite thank you and took a taste. It's delicious, he complimented. Now to announce the winners. Adrien Agris and Marinette Dupeng Chang. Marinette smiled so hard. Today was such an amazing day. She got on stage with Adrien and took a bow. Her friends, and especially boyfriend, were screaming and cheering loudly. We did it, she whispered loud enough for Adrien to hear. Yes, we did. Marinette looked at Adrien and smiled again. They won. They did it, and they did it together. They made a great team.